Now, some people that knew him did say that now that they think about it, in retrospect, they did say, Chris Benoit was acting a little bit funny there at the end, but nothing really that really raised a red flag. And for someone like him to do that, like I said, was the most shocking thing, because he's the last guy that you would expect to do something like that. There's been some crazy people in the professional wrestling business. There have been other murderers in the professional wrestling business. If this was the 80s and Ken Patera or Billy Jack Haynes or some other fucking nut would have done this, it would have almost been like less shocking. Still would have been every bit as horrible, just maybe less shocking. Well, yeah, they're fucking nuts anyway. But Chris Benoit was just such a professional, and he was arguably the best wrestler in the world. I mean, as far as what he could do in there, he wasn't John Cena, he wasn't Hulk Hogan, he wasn't the most popular, he wasn't the biggest money drawing guy, but pound for pound, what he could do in the ring, there was nobody better. I think he was even better than Dynamite Kid. He wanted to emulate Dynamite Kid, and Dynamite was a fantastic wrestler, especially when he was really young. But Chris Benoit's body of work, I think he outshined his idol, and he had a better career than Dynamite Kid. He was a multi-time world champion. He wrestled all over the world and made it to the top of every promotion he worked in. ECW, WCW, WWE, had success in Japan, had success in Mexico. The guy was extremely well-traveled, and of course he trained with the Hearts and got his start in Calgary, and if you get your start there, you're going to know what the fuck you're doing. So Chris Benoit, just given who he was, all of his devotion to wrestling and his craft, for him to have such a sad, terrible end like this, that completely tarnishes his legacy. We can never appreciate Chris Benoit. A lot of people are emphatic that Chris Benoit belongs in the Hall of Fame, and I find that laughable. I understand that his credentials are Hall of Fame worthy. Nobody's ever denied that. When you look at just what Chris Benoit accomplished in the ring, he was a Hall of Famer, 10 years before he died. But given the circumstances, you can't do that if you're the WWE. I'm sorry. He will never go into the WWE Hall of Fame. That's just publicity that the WWE doesn't need. It would create a shitstorm. Some wrestling fans might actually be happy that Chris Benoit is being remembered and his career is being honored, and other people would be highly offended by that, because the fact that he did kill 2 other people, and there are 2 other victims in this that are completely innocent in all of this. Nancy and Chris Benoit had their problems, but nobody deserved to die over it. And when you hear of a story of a father choking out his son, something cannot be right in that guy's noodle to do something so horrific when he clearly loves his son. He had a lot of love in his heart. And then for whatever happened, whatever took place, during those 3 days, I guess we'll never know whatever went on inside that house. There are conspiracy theories out the ass. I don't really subscribe to any of that. I've heard people blame Kevin Sullivan. That's ludicrous. There's also some less ludicrous ones, like maybe Chris and Nancy got in a fight. Maybe he accidentally killed her and realized what he had done, and the only way out is just to take everybody out. I mean, who knows what went on? We really don't know, and the sad thing is we never will. All we know is that Chris Benoit was a deeply troubled person, and that nobody recognized it. Nobody knew it. And it's a shame if WWE and the NFL for that matter, but if the WWE in particular had the concussion protocols that they have now, this could have been avoided. Look at what we're seeing today. Corey Graves is behind the commentary table because of concussions. So if all of that existed back in 2007, maybe, Chris Benoit could have gotten some help before this got out of control. But when you just hear of the stories of the condition that his brain was in, even Chris Nowinski had called up Chris Benoit's family, his father, I think, and asked for a piece of his brain because he wanted to study it, because Chris Benoit truly had some problems. So it was just a nasty cocktail of a stressed marriage, of possibly some drug use as well, not going to lie there. And then, of course, all of the years of abuse on his brain and the multiple undiagnosed concussions that had turned his brain into applesauce.